EJ Pokare, welcome. I'm your AI interviewer today. I've reviewed your resume. I'll be asking you some technical questions on skills you mentioned in your resume for the senior Java developer role. Let's begin the technical interview. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Jayan Bokde, and I'm a SD2 level of senior Java engineer at working at Netflix, and I've been working for last 5 years. That's all about me.
Thank you for the introduction, Jen. Let's dive into some technical questions. Can you explain the concept of encapsulation in object-oriented programming and provide an example of how you would implement it in Java?
Encapsulations means wrapping the data members and methods into the class.
Could you provide a specific example of how you would implement encapsulation in a Java class, including the use of access modifiers?
Yeah, for encapsulating, we can use access modifiers and let's for say for example, in an array list, um, we will in array we use dot length operator or data member that is defined, that is encapsulated in a array class. uh, that is one of the example of encapsulation that we have to use along with the array class. We cannot use directly dot length data member. We have to use it specifically with the array class.
I appreciate your example, but could you clarify or provide a more detailed example of a custom class in Java that demonstrates encapsulation? Specifically, how would you define private fields and provide public methods to access and modify those fields?
Okay, let's say we have a class that has private methods, and we have some functions like getter and setters that are open to everyone, that is public or protected. So we can use that private methods using that getters and setters. As we can access that getter and setters, we can access that private function as well, but we cannot direct access them. We have to use that getter and setter function as well.
Thank you for that explanation. Let's move on to a different topic. Can you describe a situation where you had to choose between different data structures for a specific problem? What factors did you consider in making your decision?
Yeah, I mean, in the development we have to make the decision at the beginning when we develop a system design, because we have to take care of the time complexity and space complexity as well. um, would you like an example for that elaboration?
Yes, please provide an example where you had to choose a specific data structure for a problem. What was the problem? What data structures did you consider? And what were the trade-offs that influenced your decision?
Right. Uh, um, like I would need help about. Would you like me to suggest any scenario where I can tell you about that?
I appreciate your willingness to elaborate. Please share a specific scenario from your experience where you had to select a data structure, detailing the problem you faced, the options you considered, and the reasoning behind your final choice.
Okay. Let's say, for example, we there is a scenario where we have to update the data or insert the data at O of one time, like time complexity of one in O of one. So we cannot use data structures like array, and either we can use hash map. So that's my scenario. Uh,
Thank you for sharing that scenario. Let's explore a different aspect. How would you approach debugging a piece of code that is producing unexpected results? Can you walk me through your troubleshooting process?
So, as per my 5 years of experience in development, the first thing that we do that we check logs, and if we are not getting, we do particularly check on each logs on each line, and if then also we have not found the issue, the root cause. We have to find the first of all the root cause analysis, and we have to find what was the reason that behind that bug. So we can use help of modern tools and debugging tools like IntelliJ IDEA provides beautiful UI and functionality to debug. We can add debug pointers and what was the going on behind the scenes, or the all the things that working in the that code, we can see that as well. So yeah, first
Thank
of all, logging, and then using debugging tools, so we can find the root cause analysis of the issue that it's generating the unexpected results.
Thank you for outlining your debugging process. Let's move on to a different topic. Can you explain the concept of normalization in database design? What are the different normal forms, and why is normalization important?
So normalization is used to avoid redundancy in a code. Like there are 4 to 5 forms of normalization, like 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, 4NF.
Could you elaborate on each of the normal forms you mentioned? Specifically, what criteria define them and how they help in reducing redundancy?
In 1NF, that it is necessary to have a single field cannot have multiple items. Like there is a mobile number column that let's suppose the person have two mobile numbers, so we cannot have the same person in 1NF two mobile numbers at a single field. So we have to take a new row, and we have to add there the similar properties with different mobile number. And for 2NF, for having 2NF normalization, it should be 1NF before, and 3NF, it should be 2NF before, so and so forth, just like that.
Thank you for explaining the first normal form and touching on the subsequent normal forms. Let's discuss a different area. How would you design a simple RESTful API for a resource, such as a book? What endpoints would you include, and what HTTP methods would you use for each?
Um, I didn't the, I didn't get the question. Would you like to repeat that question again, please?
Certainly. How would you design a simple RESTful API for a resource, such as a book? Specifically, what endpoints would you create, and which HTTP methods would you use for each endpoint?
Right. So for a book, I think we are talking about any bookstore or updating a book library. So here are some endpoints, like we can post a book, like we can update the fields of the book, we can change the fields of the book, existing book, we can delete that book. So we can have routes endpoints like delete book, get all books, post a book, or add book. And the most of the HTTP methods that we use for getting or retrieving, we will use get method. For updating we use put or patch, and for deleting we use like delete, and for adding we use post method, HTTP method. That's the brief answer about this question.
Thank you for outlining the endpoints and HTTP methods for the book resource. Let's move on to another topic. Can you discuss some security best practices you would implement when developing a web application? What measures would you take to protect user data?
Like adding role-based authentication, JWT-based token-based authorization, and like it is a backend application, we should not allow the cross-origin resources. like we have to put restriction on course that we have to take as well. And also that's all about for now.
Thank you for mentioning those security practices. Could you elaborate on how you would implement role-based authentication and GWT, JSON Web Token, for securing your application?
There is third party library as well, and we can assign the role there, and it will encrypt and we will get a token. For retrieving the information, we would need the JWT secret key for decrypting that. After decrypting, we would have the information in that particularly or commonly we get id of the candidate, role, and all the personal details that logging account offer account we need to logging in signing in. So that's all about this question.
Thank you for elaborating on the implementation of role-based authentication and GWT. That concludes our technical interview. I appreciate your time and the insights you've shared.
Thank you.